Have you ever told yourself, this is the last time I start over? Maybe you made a plan. Maybe you felt different this time, more serious, more ready. And for a few days, it worked. You showed up. You followed through. You thought this might finally be it. But then one small break turned into two turned into a week. And somehow, you were back at the beginning again. Same goals, same frustration, same quiet voice. Why do I always end up here? What if the problem isn't your discipline? What if the real reason you keep restarting is because you were never supposed to start over in the first place? In a part of the city most people pass through without noticing, there was a 32-year-old man named Ryan. Ryan worked as a delivery driver. His days started early and ended late, moving from one address to the next, following the same routes, the same streets, the same routine. He used to tell himself it was temporary, just something to get by. But temporary had quietly turned into years. His apartment reflected it. A pair of dumbbells untouched in the corner, an online course still open on his laptop, a notebook with a few pages filled, and then nothing. Every few weeks, Ryan would decide this was it. He would wake up earlier, start working out, learn something new, and for a few days he did, until he didn't. And each time he stopped, it became harder to believe the next start would be any different. Every attempt followed the same pattern. He would start strong. Day 1, everything felt different. Day 2, still focused. Day 3, still holding on. By the end of the week, he was already looking for signs. Something to prove it was working. But nothing had changed yet. His body looked the same. His skills felt the same. His life stayed exactly where it was. And that was enough. Enough to make him question it. Enough to make him slow down. Enough to stop. He told himself he'd come back to it. Later. But later always felt easier than today. So he moved on. To another plan. Another idea. Another fresh start. And each time he walked away, it became a little harder to believe he could ever stay. One evening after a long shift, Ryan sat in his car with the engine off hands, resting on the steering wheel, staring at nothing in particular. His phone buzzed. A notification from someone he used to work with. Just got promoted today, man, things are finally paying off. Ryan read it twice. Same age, the same starting point, different outcome. He leaned back, closing his eyes for a moment. How many times have I started? He didn't finish the sentence. Because this time, it didn't feel like another failure. It felt like a pattern, and for the first time, he couldn't ignore it anymore. The next morning, Ryan stopped at a small roadside cafe he usually ignored. An older man behind the counter watched him for a moment before speaking. "You look like someone who's tired of starting over." Ryan gave a quiet half smile. "Yeah, that obvious?" The man nodded. "Most people don't fail because they can't change. Pause. They fail because they keep resetting instead of continuing." He slid a cup across the counter. "Don't start again." Ryan looked up. "Just continue, but smaller than you think." The man grabbed a napkin and folded it once. "This feels like nothing." He folded it again. Still nothing. Ryan watched closely. "But each time it doubles what came before." He tapped the folded stack. "People quit because they expect to see change too early." Pause. "But real progress hides at the beginning." Ryan frowned slightly. "So, something small actually works?" The man nodded. "If you improve just a little, every day, and don't stop, you don't stay small." He looked directly at Marcus. "Ryan, you didn't fail because you couldn't change." Another pause. "You failed because you never stayed long enough to see it grow." Ryan didn't make a big decision. He didn't quit his job. He didn't rebuild his life overnight. He chose one thing. Every evening, after his last delivery, he opened a simple online course, 20 minutes. That was it. Some days he followed along. Some days he barely understood. Some days he just clicked through and closed it. But he didn't stop. Not once. The first week, nothing changed. The first month, still nothing. No visible progrès. No breakthrough. Just repetition. Quiet and almost meaningless. But this time, it felt different. He wasn't trying to prove anything. He was just continuing. And for the first time, he wasn't starting over again. Somewhere around the third month, something changed. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but Ryan noticed it. The things that once confused him started to feel familiar. Tasks that used to slow him down became easier. He didn't have to push himself as hard to sit down anymore. He just did. By the 5th month, he completed a small project. Nothing impressive, but it worked. He showed it to a friend during a break. "You built this?" Ryan nodded. It wasn't big, but it was real. And for the first time, progress didn't feel like a guess. It felt like something he could actually see. By the 7th month, things felt different. Ryan was still driving the same routes, but his time no longer felt wasted. It was building something. He started taking small freelance tasks, fixing simple problems for people online. The money was small, but it meant something. It meant he was no longer stuck. By the 9th month, he had steady work outside his job. Nothing big, just consistent. And that was the difference. He wasn't trying to change his life anymore. He already had. One small day at a Ryan was still driving the same routes, delivering the same packages, but something about his time had changed. It wasn't empty anymore. It was building something. He started taking small freelance tasks, simple jobs. Nothing complicated, just enough to apply what he had learned. The first payment was small, but it meant everything. It was proof that his effort wasn't invisible. By the 9th month, he had a few regular clients. Nothing impressive, just consistent. The same way he had been. And something else shifted. The discipline he built in those 20 minutes began to show up everywhere. He organized his days better. He wasted less time. He felt more in control. Not because he forced himself, but because he was no longer the same person. He didn't restart anymore. He continued. This story isn't about Ryan. It's about something most people miss because it feels too simple to matter. You don't need a new plan. You don't need more motivation. You don't need to become someone else overnight. You just need to stop restarting and start continuing. Even if today feels small, even if it doesn't look like progress, even if no one notices, it counts. Every day you don't quit. You become someone different. Not all at once, but slowly and permanently. So here's the question that matters. What is one thing, just one, that you will continue tomorrow? Not perfectly, not impressively, just enough to make sure you didn't go back to zero. Because 1 year from now, you will arrive at the same day. The only difference is, will you still be restarting? Or will you finally be moving forward? You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need more motivation. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. You just need to stop restarting and start continuing. Even if today feels insignificant, even if it looks like nothing is happening, even if no one notices, it's counting. Every single day you don't quit, you move forward. So here's the only question that matters. What is one small thing, just one, that you're willing to continue tomorrow? Not perfectly, not dramatically, just enough to make sure you didn't stand still. Because 1 year from now, you will arrive at the same date. The only difference is whether you stayed the same or became someone new, one small step at a time.